welcome. I'm Lena Misseri. Today I'm interviewing the founder and owner of Flashback Journey to Pompeii, Jason Schuman. Flashback Journey to Pompeii was founded in early 2015 and became the world's first sightseeing tour company to use virtual reality. In response to the overwhelming request for interviews, we're giving you here the first interview with Jason. So let's get started. Jason, can you tell our viewers a little bit about Flashback Journey to Pompeii and what kinds of tours you guys offer?
Yeah, so we do private tours as well as small group public tours that combine licensed local tour guides with the magic of virtual reality. So we have live local guides who are really passionate about what they do, who are very, very knowledgeable. Many of them have advanced degrees in archaeology, or many of them are actual archaeologists themselves who are working in the ruins when they're not doing tours. We also have many of them just degrees in European history and what have you. So this is the tours that we do combine the best of both worlds. It's taking a live tour guide and combining it with the technology. So the technology, the virtual reality headsets, does what the tour guide cannot do. Tour guides typically tell you to use your imagination when you're there, and here now you don't have to imagine anymore. You can actually see what it was like 2,000 years ago.
Can you tell us a little about the science and technology behind the tours?
Absolutely. So we have done a lot of research into Pompeii, and the goal of what we're trying to do here is to give our customers the experience of how Pompeii was 2,000 years ago. So we have archaeologists who we have worked with to really just dig in deep to the history and get a feel for how everything looked back then, everything from the colors that you see to the textures, the layout of the rooms, the buildings, the people, everything that was going on in the scenes that you're watching was all done according to a lot of research, and it is as accurate as is possible. So we take that experience that we recreated, kind of like making a movie, except it's done in what we call 360 in virtual reality, so it's all around you. And we take that experience and we put it inside the headset for our viewers, for our customers who are on the tours, and you get to experience how Pompeii was 2,000 years ago. So that's the technology behind it.
For those of us not familiar with virtual reality, can you explain a little bit about what it is? And we also hear a lot about augmented reality. So what's the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality?
A great question. So virtual reality is the experience of putting on a headset and being completely immersed in an environment, in a virtual environment, right? Not the real environment. So when you put on this headset, you are in ancient Pompeii, as it was 2,000 years ago. You look down, you see the ground. If you look up, you see the sky. You can look behind you, around you, every which way. And it's in 3D, it's three-dimensional. So you actually feel like you can reach out and touch the buildings and the people. Augmented reality is a little different in that, whereas virtual reality replaces the real world environment with a complete recreation, when you put on the VR headset, you don't see what's in front of you. Whereas augmented reality could be like a pair of, it could be a headset as well, except it overlays an image over the actual environment that is in front of you. So it's not as immersive. So you will see what's in front of you with like a picture screen kind of overlaying it. And augmented reality is growing, but right now we feel that virtual reality is the best way to go in terms of just giving our visitors a more immersive experience, because augmented reality is just not there yet in terms of giving an immersive experience. It just kind of overlays an image over what you're seeing in the real world. That's the difference. Whereas, again, virtual reality is replacing what you're seeing in the real world and putting you in a virtual environment.
So you actually feel like you're there.
Exactly.
You're experiencing it?
Exactly. So when you're on a tour, there could be anywhere from 10 to 15 different points of interest, from the Temple of Apollo to the Basilica, the amphitheater where the gladiators fought, the forum, the brothel, the theater. And at different points of interest, you're standing there in the ruins and you're seeing as it looks today. The tour guide is explaining to you.
You can actually see a gladiator fight?
You actually see the gladiators fighting
wow.
now. And one of them actually comes right up to you in the video.
Wow.
So when you put on the headset, it takes you back. You're standing there. You're not walking around with the headset on, which is very important to understand.
Okay.
You're standing in one spot, and you put the headset on. Just like if you look at this young couple here in this photo, they're standing in the amphitheater on a private tour.
Yeah.
And they're actually watching gladiators fight right now. So they're in the amphitheater where the fighting actually took place 2,000 years ago. When the tour guide is talking, they're hearing the tour guide tell them the history of the amphitheater, but then they get to put the headset on and And the headsets show them what the guide cannot. It shows them the gladiators fighting and everything that went on there. You also are hearing historical commentary in the headset as well that elaborates further on what the tour guide is saying.
That's very innovative, very creative. Since Flashback Journey to Pompeii opened in 2015, I see other companies following suit, and they're offering similar kinds of tours. So how do you distinguish your company from other companies?
So I'm really happy that there's been more of an interest in virtual reality, and we have noticed other companies starting to offer similar kinds of tours. And you just people need to understand that there are different levels of quality of virtual reality headsets, everything from Google Cardboard to more advanced and the best mobile headsets, which are these right here, the Samsung Gear VR by Oculus. And so we use the best technology that's out there. We are always staying up to date and researching and using the latest technology to give our visitors the best experience. We also make sure that when the content that our visitors are viewing is not just like a still image of what a certain place might have looked like, but is rather a complete recreated video. So you're actually seeing people moving and the camera moving around. You're seeing a scene unfold right before your eyes. It's not just a still image. You're actually seeing what went on at that particular point of interest. So if, for example, if you're in the Temple of Apollo, you're actually witnessing a sacred ceremony take place. If you're in the Forum, you're watching people doing business and watching what went on at that location. It's not just a still image. It actually tells a story, which is really important.
That's very interesting. So what was your inspiration for Flashback Journey to Pompeii? Like how did you come up with this idea?
So yeah, that's probably the question I get asked the most. It all started, I've been in the tourism business for 23 years, so I have a company in New York City called Romancing Manhattan Tours.
Oh, wow.
And, we do private tours of incoming tours of New York City and vacation packages and whatnot. And I'm actually a licensed tour guide in New York City. So my experience is from the standpoint of a tour guide. And so I view everything from the eyes of a guide. So back in the spring of 2014 on a family vacation to Italy, we all went to Pompeii, and I just completely fell in love with Pompeii, and the guides are fantastic, but the one thing I noticed was that the guides did not use much visual materials to show people. Sometimes they'll use like a little flip book, which is really cool, but when you have a group of 20, 30 people, it's kind of hard for everybody to gather around, and see a tiny little book. But when I saw Pompeii, I just felt that this needed to be done there, because I was going to develop this for New York City first, actually. It's still under development, so everybody keep an eye out for this happening in New York.
Oh, nice.
But as soon as I went to Pompeii, I just immediately felt it needed to be done there. So everything just shifted over to Italy, and I came back to New York, came back home, and literally 2 weeks later, went right back to Naples, spent 2 weeks there, going to the ruins every day, doing research, and then gosh, it must have been less than a year later the business was open.
Wow, that's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, we didn't waste any time.
Being the first to do something is never easy. So I'm sure there's been some setbacks and some challenges. Are you willing to share any of those with us?
Yes, there have definitely been some setbacks and some challenges. This was the early days of VR. So back in 2015 when we started, nobody knew anything about virtual reality. The customer support, to be quite honest, although now is fantastic, back then there wasn't really any, so we had to stumble and fumble through and figure things out on our own. I'd say one of the major challenges was the ease of use of the headsets and getting it to the point to where it's just very easy to use for our customers. So I would have to say that the majority of our customers are 55 plus, and we wanted to make it very, very easy for them to use, so they don't have to worry about scrolling through menus, tapping on buttons, and we don't want them to be overwhelmed by the technology. It's meant to be simple and easy. So that our biggest challenge, or one of our biggest challenges, was just creating an interface on the headset so that people can basically just put the headset on and watch the videos and not have to worry about anything except just enjoying the time traveling experience, so to speak. And there were some other challenges. We have back then, seems like the Wild West days of virtual reality. We were before we we opened up for business. We had about a month before we were ready to open, and we were put into a really odd situation to where we all of a sudden needed to get an update on the phones in order for the virtual reality to work. And we were told that we could not get that update. And basically we were like dead in the water. We would have gone out of business before we even started. And here we are with, hundreds of thousands of dollars off an investment, obviously, into this business. And we're about to go out of business before we even started.
Wow.
So with a lot of prayer and praying really hard, on a Sunday morning one day, I just got to the office, and long story short, just figured out a breakthrough and how to get that update, and we got it, and here we are 3 years later.
Wow.
And we're doing good.
Good, that's great to hear. So it sounds like you actually moved there for a little while. How long were you there? I mean, you were away from your family?
Yeah, so that's always a little difficult, moving away from your family, but I moved to Italy for about 8-9 months, and it was difficult being in a different country, although it is Italy, so it's beautiful, but being away from your family and your dog my dog was a little difficult. But I did, he actually is right over there.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So he'll always be there forever, immortalized. But I actually had my dog with me on the trip, but it was
nice.
good, yeah.
Very cool. So that's an experience.
Yeah, for sure.
So what was your main focus in starting out, and what kind of experiences are you trying to give your customers?
Well, first I want to start by saying that I didn't mention this earlier, that in addition to the Pompeii tours, we do combo packages that will include our Pompeii tour with the virtual reality with various other experiences in the area. So we'll incorporate our tour with a pizza making class, for example, or a Sorrento cooking class, or a wine tasting, or an underground Naples tour, or a Vespa tour, a Amalfi Coast tour, a Mount Vesuvius tour, a tour of Capri. So you can actually have a complete full day excursion with transportation provided. We pick you up at your hotel, and you have a private car and driver the whole day, and you have this package that basically will take a whole day, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours. But the main experience we're really trying to do is just to give people the experience of how Pompeii was 2,000 years ago, like as close to being able to time travel as possible. You know what I mean? And I think you can really do that through virtual reality. And we also, the main thing is just giving our customers really good, just quality experiences. Providing awesome customer service, giving them the best tour guides that are really passionate about what they do, really knowledgeable. They love what they do. They'll answer all your questions, and then providing them with the best in the latest in the technology, so that they always have the best experience in that, from that perspective as well. And the usability and the user friendliness of the headsets, so that, again, like I was mentioning before, where you just have to put the headset on and it just kind of does everything for you. We don't want our customers having to worry about scrolling through menus, tapping on anything, and that's really the main thing. So we want it to be a no-brainer, really. It's kind of like, you think about it, right? How could you go to Pompeii and not do a tour that can show you how it looked 2,000 years ago? It's right. Just like, why would somebody not want to do that? And I think a lot of people have reservations with new things. When something is new,
yeah,
they want to. They're a little hesitant.
Yeah, I'm not tech savvy, so if I could figure this out, and
yeah.
I did, it's pretty simple.
Exactly, and like I was saying, a lot of our customers are 55 plus, and they may say, I think I'll just stick with like a regular tour of Pompeii. We don't want people to feel that way, because the experience is so simple and easy to use. And when you have the headset on, you only have it on for anywhere from like 2 to 4 minutes at a time. Right. And then you take it off, you put it back on, you take it off. Throughout the tour. The tours last anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. We just want the customers to have an enjoyable experience, and that we want them to understand that the headsets are very easy to use, and the guides are fantastic. So we don't want anybody to shy away from the experience of virtual reality because maybe they're not familiar with it. But in a recent article, actually, from the Consumer Technology Association in November of 2017, 2/3 of American adults are familiar with or have used virtual reality. So, compared to how that was back in 2015 when we started, it's a huge leap. So people are becoming more familiar with the technology.
If there was one thing you wanted your customers to understand about Flashback Journey to Pompeii, what would that be?
How easy the technology is to use, and how much it really changes the experience of visiting Pompeii. That's the one thing. I want people to understand that you just cannot visit Pompeii without an experience like this, to really take you into the past and see how it was. Pompeii is an amazing experience all on its own with the ruins and everything, but to be able to see how it was 2,000 years ago, there's just nothing like it. We have had people who have told us, they were a little hesitant about it, or we wanted to book a private tour, but it was kind of pricey. But let me tell you, after we took the tour, it was hands down the best tour we ever did in Italy. Right. And if people go onto our TripAdvisor site, you can search us on TripAdvisor. You'll see our average rating is 5 stars.
Oh, wow.
And people will say how really it's like a do not miss experience. So in the end, what I really want people to understand is that you cannot visit Pompeii without taking a tour like this, really, honestly. And of course, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but if you have the opportunity to be able to see the ruins of Pompeii, it's a once in a lifetime experience, and to see how it looked 2,000 years ago, it's really just like a not to be missed experience. And we want people to understand that we make it as easy and enjoyable for them as possible with the technology.
Okay, very good. What do you see for the future of tourism and the use of virtual reality and these similar technologies?
Right now, virtual reality is being used as a really great marketing tool, especially in the tourism business. It's a great way for travel agents, cruise ships, hotels to market their destination by having a virtual reality headset in their office, and people can see how that destination would look, if they were to go there, or a cruise ship or a hotel. In terms of sightseeing tours, I do think it'll become more prevalent in the coming years. I think within the next 5 years, you'll start seeing virtual reality in more locations, from museums to just actually sites like this. And as people become more familiar with it and more comfortable with it, it'll be more popular, without a doubt. It's kind of like any new technology, right? Like when back in the early 2000s, everybody had a flip phone, and then Apple came out with the smartphone in 2007, I think it was, and then everybody was like, "Ooh, what is this?" They're a little nervous about it. And a year or two later, everybody has a smartphone. And then tablets, tablets were a little awkward in the beginning, and then and now many people have tablets. I feel that in time, people are going to everyone's going to have, almost not everyone, but many people will just have a virtual reality headset at home. Especially as the price point comes down and they become more affordable, people will just have them for their own experiences at home. And then when they travel, they'll understand, oh, okay, yeah, we'll just take this tour, because it's got virtual reality. They'll understand it better.
Okay.
So as the public becomes better educated about it, and they understand it, and how it could really help enhance an experience, people will start offering more tours like this, I feel.
Cool.
And we hope to be the leader in that field.
Do you have plans for any other destinations other than Pompeii in the future?
Absolutely, yes. Like I mentioned earlier, we keep an eye on New York. New York City is in the works right now. So as far as other destinations, you can think of things that we have on our radar will be places like the Mayan ruins in Mexico, or Machu Picchu in Peru. You can think London, Paris, Rome. It doesn't necessarily have to be ruins. Okay. Any experience that can be enhanced with virtual reality, is a viable option for us for starting a company there. So we have Flashback Journeys International is the umbrella company. Under that, we have Flashback Journey to Pompeii. Soon we'll have Flashback Journey to New York, maybe London, Paris, Rome, other destinations. So definitely keep an eye out. Keep an eye on the website. So the website is really where you'll get that information first. And then through social media as well. We'll let everybody know. Don't worry, we'll be sure to let you know.
Great, I'm keeping an eye on that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sitting down and giving us some insight into your company. I'm really looking forward to seeing where you take this next.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys in Pompeii. If you'd like to learn more about booking a tour, you can visit journeytopompeiitours.com. And Jason actually likes to make himself available to talk to his customers and answer any questions you guys may have. So you can email him directly at jason.s@journeytopompeiitours.com. See you in Pompeii.